I found this slavery movie on Tubi and thought it would be educational. But once again, it was written with a white man's perspective. In the 18th century in Suriname, which borders Brazil, a slave named Quasiba worked at the Berseba sugar plantation. The plantation owner took advantage of the girl and ordered his son to do the same. The violation got Quasiba pregnant, but she didn't know who between the two was the father. This all happened when she was just 14. She gave birth to a baby girl she named Mini. Because Quasiba also worked at her master's house, she looked after his daughter Sarith. Sarith and Mini grew up together, and when they were 6 years old, a terrible sickness took the lives of the father and son. Good riddance. After the death of her husband, Rachel left the house and married a widower named Levi. Levi has a daughter named Elsa, who is around the same age as Sarith, and so they became a whole new family. Time passed and the girls are now 18 years old. Sarith was known in the countryside for her beauty, and Mini is her servant. Sarith is a nasty piece of work, getting mad at Mini for the smallest things. That night there's a party and both Sarith and Elsa are invited. That same day, a young Dutch man by the name of Rutger le Chasseur arrives in Suriname. He will be working as an assistant administrator of a plantation. It's Rutger's first-hand experience with slaves, and he asks how much he should tip them. But the big back man laughs at Rutger. Rutger is so kind he even offers one of the slaves a shoe, but the slave corrects him that they're not allowed to wear shoes. Sarith dresses well for her boyfriend Nathan, though their relationship remains a secret. She says she wants to dress slutty because she don't want to be single. Just then, Rutger meets another plantation owner named Julius Robles. Julius learns that Rutger is still unmarried, so he offers to introduce him to Mrs. Fernandez's granddaughter. When Rutger sees Elsa, he assumes she's the one that Julius was talking about, so he introduces himself and chats with her. Elsa quickly takes interest in the young man. Mini even has her own admirer, Hendrik. While Sarith is waiting for Mini, she sees Elsa talking to a guy. Suddenly, Nathan enters and Sarith acts all demure.
But I'm not dressed yet.
But we all know she a fat hoe. He hands her a catalog of new dresses. He promises to buy her the most beautiful one when they marry. Then he reveals that he's aiming for a diplomatic position, and after the wedding, they have to move to Italy. Sarith is overjoyed and can't wait to leave Suriname. She's so excited that she tells Elsa they should get married on the same day. Since Elsa doesn't have anyone, Sarith tells her to marry Rutger, even telling her to kiss Rutger so he can't back out. Julius laughs when Rutger says he already met Mrs. Fernandez's granddaughter. It turns out that Julius initially wanted to introduce Rutger to Sarith and not Elsa. When he finally introduces the two, Rutger is so mesmerized. I'm mesmerized by Julius' big nose. During the dance later that night, he can't keep his eyes off Sarith. Mini is also having her special moment. Hendrik gives her a necklace and confesses his love. He promises to work hard for the next 5 years, buy his freedom, and then return to buy Mini's freedom. It's honestly sad how their love journey is totally different than the Mayo people. After just a few days, Rutger and Elsa tie the knot. During the reception, a toast is made for the new couple. To Sarith's surprise, it's also announced that Nathan will soon marry a young lady named Leah. When confronted, Nathan explains he's trying to grab dat bag. Their family is drowning in debt, and marrying Leah will save them. Angry, Sarith threatens to tell everyone about their relationship. Nathan snaps back and reminds Sarith that she spread her legs with a high-ranking official before. Nathan would shame her if she told everyone about them. Sarith begs him not to leave, but Nathan is already done with her. Mini has heard everything. Sarith sulks for days, and even her parents don't know what to do. Then she suddenly decides to spend some time with Elsa and her husband. Sarith takes Mini with her and even gives her a bottle of perfume. She teaches Mini how to use it to impress her man. Elsa is so happy to see her sister, and though surprised, Rutger also welcomes Sarith. That night, Sarith shares her ugly views on slavery while Rutger disagrees with her stances. Later, Sarith puts on some perfume and calls Rutger to her room. She pretends to have a splinter under her foot just to flirt with him, but the young man makes an excuse to leave. Sarith was hoping he had a foot fetish. When Mini meets with Hendrik, she's surprised to learn that he's been sold by his master. The Dutch military is creating a black army of slaves to combat the Maroons. The Maroons are the slaves who have revolted and retreated to the forest. Now they fight the Mayo men and burn down plantations. Hendrik is so angry and has lost all hope. Mini tries comforting him, but he just pushes her away. Soon enough, Hendrik enters the forest with the Dutch soldiers. He hides during an ambush and then joins the Maroons later on. Using his skills as a carpenter, Hendrik creates wooden guns, which the group uses to intimidate the soldiers. Thinking that they're surrounded by an armed group, the soldiers drop their weapons and retreat. Sarith continues to flirt with Rutger, and Elsa has begun to notice. Sarith tells Elsa to let it go, let it go. One day Levi comes over to deliver some good news. He has found a man for Sarith, a well-traveled researcher named Abraham. Rutger looks disappointed AF, and Elsa notices this. Abraham visits the family and Sarith tries her best to catch his attention, but she learns that he wants her sister, Rebecca, and not her. You see, Rebecca is actually smart and reads books, while Sarith is just a shallow piece of poop.
I'm willing to give my body to science or to art.
Then she shows more cleavage because she a hoe. Abraham decides he'll be marrying Rebecca, so Sarith returns to Elsa's house and continues her affair with Rutger. Elsa's servant, Mesa, calls out Mini for tolerating the affair. Alex, Rutger's servant, is also caught in the argument since his master is juggling the two sisters. Mini doesn't care that Sarith is a mistress, but she starts to feel bad when Mesa tells her that Elsa is pregnant with a little Olaf. One day, Elsa reaches her limit and confronts the two. Rutger feels bad for his wife, but Sarith refuses to let him go. In fact, she doesn't care if she's a mistress and swears she's in love with Rutger. When Elsa kicks her out of the house, Sarith fights back, and Rutger is forced to step in and save his wife. Then he tells the five-head to leave immediately. Alone once again, Sarith returns home. She can't find a man to marry because her personality sucks so bad. A few months later, Elsa gives birth to a baby boy. Sarith refuses to go, so Levi leaves his trusted servant, Ashana, and Mini to accompany Sarith. That night, Sarith catches the slaves dancing outside the house. She takes an interest in a young man and takes advantage of him. Afterward, the young man cries and confides in Ashana. The next day, Ashana refuses to prepare breakfast for Sarith. The situation escalates, and Sarith calls Ashana the N-word. Ashana fights back, so Sarith orders her to be whipped in front of the other slaves. Levi is furious when he finds out what happened. Ashana is the one who cared for Elsa when she was a young girl, so Levi tells Sarith to leave the house immediately. Meanwhile, Julius' plantation is failing. It has started its quick decline after the death of his wife, who unalived herself. Rutger comes up with an idea that his servant Alex will take over. Alex can read and write, and he's smart. Julius will pay for Alex's freedom, and once free, he will earn a regular salary. When Sarith learns that Rutger is about to leave Suriname, she tries to seduce him into taking her instead of Elsa. But Rutger doesn't give in to the chlamydia-riddled hoe. And after some time, he leaves with his wife. Sarith continues to search for a possible husband until she realizes there's big-back Julius Robles all along. I mean, how could you possibly forget about him? Nobody knows. Knowing he likes her, she asks him to marry her. She says she can get any man, yet has to beg to be married. Though Julius' business is struggling, he tries to give Sarith a decent wedding. On their first night together, Sarith rubs Julius through his pants so she doesn't have to sleep with him. Julius tries to save his plantation, the small paradise, and works hard with his slaves. But Sarith mostly stays at the capital, partying and flirting with other men. One night, Sarith sleeps with a military officer, Reinder Almersma, and the affair resulted in a pregnancy. She gives birth to a baby boy that Julius named Jethro, but 5 years later, Sarith remains emotionally distant with the boy. Mini looks after Jethro, so the boy calls her Mama. After years of working, Alex is finally freed. Rutger even sends him a pair of shoes as a gift. While Julius works hard, Sarith continues her affair with Reindeer by getting pounded on all fours like a reindeer. When Julius is away, the Maroons attack the plantation. Alex tries to defend the place, and he is shocked when he sees Hendrik leading the attack. Upon realizing that Alex is now a free man, Hendrik shoots him dead. Then they head to the house and look for the White Master. Reinder realizes what's happening and quickly arms himself. He manages to shoot one dead before he hides from them. An old woman they call Grandma hides Sarith, Mini, and Jethro in the closet and locks it from the outside. When the Maroons barge in and ransack the place, the three remain hidden. The Maroons are hell-bent on finding Sarith and beating her to death. I mean, I would have given Sarith's location easily. So, the three hide until the next day when the Maroons are about to leave. The men start a fire to burn the place down, and they refuse to leave Grandma behind. Worried that the three will burn to death, Grandma opens the cabinet but only manages to get the boy out. Grandma refuses to give the child, so Hendrik checks the room himself. He's surprised to see Mini and wants to take her with him. But Mini doesn't want him anymore because of his ruthless act of killing Alex. When the soldiers arrive, the Maroons hastily leave the place. Julius rushes to save his family and is shocked to find Sarith holding another man's dead body in his house. Julius learns of Sarith's infidelity. Despite all this, Mini still defends her. Julius asks Mini why she always sides with the hoe even when she's wrong. So Mini explains that Sarith is all she has and she wants her to be happy. I just know a Mayo man helped write this. Even though Jethro is not his son, Julius decides to keep the boy. Then, she kicks Sarith out of the house and prohibits her from taking Mini. Time quickly passes by, and Mini continues to raise the boy like her own. Julius starts to care more for Mini and even teaches her to read and write. He soon falls in love with her and asks her to be his mistress. Despite being afraid, Mini agrees and gives herself to Julius. Toss this movie in the trash. You cannot convince me that Mini wanted Orange Julius? Yuck. Meanwhile, Sarith supports herself by sleeping with strangers in Paramaribo. But one day she decides to return to Small Paradise. She's astounded when she sees Mini living like a free woman as Julius' partner. Sarith is furious, but Julius defends Mini and reveals that he's in love with her. Sarith has every intention of returning, but Julius tells her they will annul their marriage. He will gladly shoulder all the financial burdens. On top of that, he will keep the boy. Sarith is heartbroken when Mini admits that she's happy with Julius. This movie is a damn lie. To get back at them, Sarith sells Mini to a trader named Von Buenicom. So while everyone sleeps, Von Buenicom takes Mini from the house. Julius is frantic when he finds out that Sarith has sold Mini. A slave boy tells him she was taken by Von Buenicom, but when he reaches the trading house, there are too many slaves. Von Buenicom agrees to give information about Mini's whereabouts in exchange for some money. He reveals that the price has gone up because Mini is pregnant. Julius grabs all the money he has and even the pearl necklace he gave to Sarith. Mini is being hauled like cattle along with other slaves to be sold overseas. However, Julius manages to catch Mini before she's taken away. The trader takes all the money Julius has, the pearls and even his boots in exchange for giving Mini back. Unfortunately, she's already been branded. Much later, Mini writes the story of her life. They are living a humble life, but she's happier now that she has her freedom. One day, Sarith returns to check on Jethro, who is very sick. She apologizes to Mini for everything she did, but Mini says Sarith should forgive herself. Defeated, Sarith leaves the family with a heavy heart and probably the first case of syphilis. Sarith is one of the most despicable and infuriating characters. Although this was written by a mixed-race woman named Cynthia McLeod, I feel like it made a lot of the white characters sympathetic and romanticized the master-slave dynamic. What did you guys think of this one?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you like to watch more foolishness, click here